Welcome to the Hired Not Fired podcast, brought to you by The Real Me, the soft skills first talent solution that helps employers hire entry level employees with better developed soft skills such as communication, problem solving, or emotional intelligence. Join us as we sit down with hiring managers, talent leaders, and others and get insider tips to help Gen Z stand out and get hired. Let's dive in. Hey there, welcome to this new episode of Hired Not Fired. I'm Deb Samuels-Peretz from The Real Me, and I am thrilled to introduce this week's guest, Ann Darda. Ann is from Elevated Organizations, an HR advisory and consultancy firm, and she has 30 plus years experience leading strategic HR and talent acquisition initiatives across multiple industries. Welcome.
Thank you, Deb. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, I am so excited to have you because I know our listeners will love to hear about your insights from your rich experience working in some of the top companies in the biotech and big pharma fields. So let's dive in. Let's start with biotech. What is it like working in that field for an early career employee?
Sure. Biotech is newly formed companies, pre-commercial companies in the life science space. Many companies call themselves biotech, but biotech really refers to early stage companies. Early stage companies, why people join them is they want to wear a lot of hats. They want to do a lot of different things. They want a breadth of experience. They also generally are quite volatile because they're based on market conditions. They don't have a lot of money. And the biggest value proposition to employees, particularly early career employees, is the ability to try a whole lot of jobs and a lot of variety and to have a chance to grow and develop. If I compared my experience in biotech versus big pharma, I would say you could extrapolate this to any industry. If you work for a small company that is early stage startup private company, it's often the ability to develop quickly. So it's high energy, high paced, usually very, very demanding. And it's a chance to develop and learn across a lot of different areas. More established companies have you learn a lot of best practices. They often have money for very good training and development courses in-house. And there you can learn a lot of best practices, and you also can learn a depth of your specific field. So when you're making a choice and thinking about, gosh, do I want to go to a big company or small company? That's something to think about.
Could you tell us a little bit about the types of jobs that new grads get at the biotech companies or at these startup early stage companies as opposed to one of some of the more established ones?
Yeah. So small biotech, preclinical, pre-commercial biotech companies have, I will call it, two sets of jobs. One set of jobs are all scientific. So mostly master's level and PhD level science degrees. It can be chemistry, it can be biology. And now there's a new area of machine learning. And because the latest area is now a mix of machine learning and biology to help with drug development. So I would say that whole category under research and development of the early stage biotech is science heavy education and preferably 2 years of industry experience. Now, the other set of jobs are all operational jobs. You need finance, you need HR, you need project management. So those are some of the jobs that support the scientific organization. You need facilities. And so those kinds of jobs exist as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so that's a wide variety. Would you say there's a difference between some of the entry level positions that are available to new grads in biotech versus big pharma?
I would say this. I would say if big pharma is looking for an entry level scientist, It might be simpler. It might be similar. However, your projects may differ. So in early stage biotech, you have a set of goals, you have a direction you're going on, but it's often discovery, meaning you're doing early stage discovery in research and you don't know what you don't know. So there's a lot of pivots in the goals. There's often more hats to play. So if you're a scientist in this example, you might also be doing the general scientific requirements, but let's say you're interested in marketing. And then you might have a job of helping revamp the website with a small group of people. You might have a chance to work on employee engagement. There's all these different things because there's a cap on resources at early stage companies. It's sort of asking the folks there if they want to chip in where their interest lies and help build out the company in some way. It could be small, it could be large. Whereas in big pharma, the focus is really a deeper dive into a subject matter area.
Maybe you could give a couple of examples from some of the companies that you worked at, maybe, because it's almost like a who's list in biotech, pharma.
I will share an example of a biotech company, and I'll use a early career job as the example. So at this particular company, it was a company that was private and it became public. And when a company changes its status like that, it's a pretty significant change in how you operate. So it was a fast growing company. There was a entry-level college grad that was really smart and very motivated and kept taking on new projects. And this person went from being a general, an executive, a general administration person, kind of handling calendars for multiple senior leaders, to then becoming the office manager, and then moving up to being the executive assistant to the CEO, which also included, as this person continued to grow and continue to prove themselves, would take on additional projects such as preparing board slides. And think about the learning opportunity in preparing board of director slides as a 1 or 2 year graduate, 2 years out of undergrad, not even an MBA yet, nothing else, just the ability to work hard and really handle stakeholders well, and treating the executives like customers and making sure their input gets involved and how much you can learn in terms of the preparation. And then they continued on and became chief of staff. Most small companies don't have that role, but they often have some kind of role that's a mix of a variety of things. It can be VP of operations, it can be senior director or director of operations, but it's general business administration kind of work and liaising between a lot of stakeholders, whether that's inside or outside of the company.
That's a great example. So there's a lot of room for growth, is what I hear you saying. And I know that you've taken companies through IPOs and through acquisitions. Are there any learning moments or messages for entry level positions that are at a company that's going through something that momentous?
Yeah, I would say this advice probably applies to everyone, but particularly to entry level folks. When there's a lot of change and it's very unsettling, and a lot of people often get upset because it's unsettled, especially when there's a merger and acquisition, because people generally sometimes lose their jobs. There's also lots of opportunity. So what I would say is, if a person can keep their eye on what needs to be done, what is falling through the cracks, how can they help the organization? So looking around and seeing what, work's usually being redesigned, and sometimes there's a miss, or if someone's always looking at how they can help the company, how they can move the science forward, whether they're on the operations side, the general administration side, or on the science side, they will be an asset and they'll be seen as an asset. And opportunities, every one of those situations I've been through, there is some kind of new opportunity that unfolds, right? So now we're going to see this across every industry with AI, right? Things are going to shift and change. And there'll also be lots of certain things will go away, and there'll also be lots of opportunity on how best to use the tool and use it as a value add. So that's what I would say is try to keep the eye on the ball in terms of where you can make a difference and stay flexible. It's super hard to do. Stay flexible because everyone gets tied to certain objectives. And those objectives change very quickly in those kinds of situations. So just staying loose, keeping communication frequent with managers and others. This is what we agreed upon. Are we still tracking towards that goal? This is my progress against that goal, and doing that on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting as well as valuable to take a peek into these industries and to these unique situations.